Ready? For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, pursuant to the order of the House of December 16, 2025, I call up House Concurrent Resolution 61 and ask for its immediate consideration in the House.
Clerk will report the title of the concurrent resolution.
House Concurrent Resolution 61, concurrent resolution directing the President pursuant to Section 5C of the War Powers Resolution to remove United States Armed Forces from hostilities with presidentially designated terrorist organizations in the Western Hemisphere.
Pursuant to the order of the House of December 16, 2025, the concurrent resolution is considered as read. The concurrent resolution shall be debatable for 1 hour, equally divided and controlled by the chair and ranking minority member of the Committee on Foreign Affairs or their respective designees. The gentleman from Florida, Mr. Mast, and the gentleman from New York, Mr. Meeks, each shall control 30 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Florida.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that members all have 5 legislative days in which to revise and extend their remarks and include extraneous material on the resolution under consideration.
Without objection, so ordered.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself as much time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized for such time as he may consume.
Right now, we have cartels operating in our backyard. They are kidnapping Americans, extorting families, trafficking women and children, and flooding our towns with fentanyl to maximize death and addiction on American soil. Someone tell me that I'm wrong. I don't hear anything. Just look at the images next to me. It's not Photoshop. None of this is new. It's just new that it's being defeated by President Trump, brought to an end by President Trump. This violence, it comes from the Sinaloa and Jalisco cartels, Tren de Aragua, MS-13, Cartel of the Suns, headed by Nicolas Maduro, just to name a few. The president has every bit of Article II authority to defend the United States of America from these imminent threats. These cartels that are doing this are an imminent threat. These cartels have tens of thousands of members who wake up every day and see it as their sole mission to flood the United States with lethal drugs. But my Democrat colleagues want to ignore that. Sinaloa and Jalisco alone have nearly 45,000 members combined. Gulf Cartel, 50,000 members. MS-13, another 30,000. They're coming across the Gulf constantly. 365 days a year, 7 days a week, they are coming to the United States of America with their violence. That is the definition of imminent. These drug cartels are highly organized, militarized. They are terrorist networks that have convinced my colleagues that they're nothing more than small street gangs. They control territory, run armed convoys, use drones for surveillance, communicate through encrypted networks like the military. They terrorize entire countries with extreme violence, and they terrorize the United States of America and our people. They spread carnage wherever they go, not just across the border, but on our side of the border as well, right here in the United States of America. Look at this morbid scene that we're going to put up here. These are 2 men about to be decapitated, literally out in the open by the Gulf Cartel. The tactics of these cartels are the same as those used by Al-Qaeda and ISIS. These are terrorist networks. Some are given safe haven by foreign governments. Others, like Tren de Aragua, take orders from Nicolas Maduro. I can tell you that Americans have paid the price for it. Laken Riley, 22-year-old nursing student, murdered in Georgia by a confirmed member of Tren de Aragua. Claritha Daniels and Justin Lawless, executed outside of their Bronx apartment by 6 Tren de Aragua terrorists. These were neighbors to my ranking member. 74-year-old American rancher killed in Brownsville, Texas, when his truck hit a cartel-planted IED. Exactly the same kind of thing that took my legs off. Democrats don't want the president to be able to defend America from these terrorists. Even more tragic is the fact that nearly 80,000 Americans overdosed last year on fentanyl, cocaine, and other cartel-trafficked drugs. But Democrats don't want to protect you from that either. In fact, yesterday, after we had a classified briefing The gentleman on my left, the ranking member, went directly to the press to claim that these strikes were not protecting America, literally said these strikes were not stopping drugs. Everything that he said is very easy for me to prove wrong. Every drug boat sunk is literally drugs not coming to the United States of America. Every narco-terrorist killed is an American life, like Laken Riley or Claretha Daniels saved. The threat is pressing and it's frequent. In November, the Coast Guard announced it seized 510,000 pounds of cocaine in the Eastern Pacific and the Caribbean since the start of 2025. This is enough cocaine to harm nearly 170 million Americans. Congressional authorization is not required to carry out precise limited strikes. My colleagues did not object when prior presidents conducted military operations in Yemen and Libya and Syria, operations which were also limited and successful. This resolution is also reckless and poorly written. It prevents the president from acting against any foreign terrorist organization in the Western Hemisphere. Under this resolution, the president could strike Al-Qaeda or ISIS in the Middle East. But if those same terrorists came across into the Western Hemisphere, they could be untouchable and free to kill as many Americans as they want. Democrats are not putting forward an authorized use of military force, telling the president how to combat any of these issues. Democrats are putting forward a resolution to say the president cannot do anything about MS-13 or Tren de Aragua and every other cartel. That is getting aid and comfort to narco-terrorists. That is ignoring an imminent threat. The cartels are relentless and ruthless. They have military capabilities and use them every day against the American homeland. When a threat poses immediate danger to Americans, the Constitution gives the president the authority to act. I reserve the balance of my time.
Gentleman reserves. The gentleman from New York is recognized.
I yield my